Ladies and gentlemen, you may be the winner of a $100,000 prize. There are just 3 things you need to do. 1, watch the following program carefully. 2, listen for the hidden clues. And 3, hold a winning ticket in the Irish sweepstakes.
1, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This is Hans Conry, the Ted Mack of Ulster Gulch. I was just reading about a lady in Ashtabula who contracted a rare tropical disease from the knob of a television set. So if you value your health, leave that knob alone. For the next half hour, anyway. For once again, it's time for Fractured Flickers, the Typhoid Mary of television. And tonight's first piece of surgery was originally made in 1921 as a bullfight picture entitled Blood and Sand, and starred that, and I use the word advisedly, fabulous Rudolph Valentino. Tonight it has been changed to The Death of a Traveling Salesman. In the competitive business system of today, much depends upon the initiative and drive of the individual, and most of all to the men who create the demand for our multiform goods and services. This, then, is a tribute to the traveling salesman, a special kind of guy, riding out in the blue with a smile on his lips, a shine on his shoes, and a hole in his head. This is the Willie Roman story. Willie Roman had been on the road for years. Every fashionable suburb knew his cheery face, his open-handed generosity. He was welcomed into typical American homes everywhere.
Hello, kids. It's me, your friendly full-of-bunk brush man.
I'll brush you, you no good Nick. $3.98 for a broom, and look at it.
Come, madam. A full-of-bunk broom beats as it sweeps as it cleans.
Who was to sweep? I bought it to ride.
I should have known. Why don't we talk this thing over, gorgeous? I'm pushing a little different line this trip, hon.
What are you selling?
Me?
You.
How's about it?
Some offer. 53 years I wait for Prince Charming, and who shows up? The king of the hobos.
We could make beautiful music together. With my looks and your money, we could...
What makes you think I have money?
Shh, I spotted it wrapped up in a sugar bowl.
But...
Oh, you stake me to a front. And not only do you get a fancy-looking young husband, but I'll double your money for you. What do you say?
Well, okay.
Great. First, you give me $2 for a license and...
You look like a tramp.
Yeah, I'll need an Ivy League suit, elevator shoes. Who knows, I might start wearing socks.
Looks terrible.
So already. Mildred doll, you've made a great deal. Easy, hon, you're sewing it to my leg.
After the marriage, not only did Willie get socks, he got someone to put them on.
That tickles.
But Willie was ever a perfectionist.
Mildred, I wanted natural shoulders.
For $49.50, you're lucky it has sleeves.
Yeah. Well, the pants are okay. Maybe just a little too Ivy.
Overcoming these obstacles, Willie Roman set out on his new career. He was going to sell insurance. Within 6 weeks, he had sold his first $1 million policy and rode home in triumph with his client, who was delighted with the protection he'd received.
If I ever get bit by a chicken on St. Swithin's Day, I'm rich.
Yay, Willie! Of course, Mildred was waiting with cheery words.
Where's the money?
I think I've spotted a live one. See you around some year, hon.
One triumph wasn't enough for ambitious Willie Roman.
Hiya, kiddo. Give me some skin. What's shaking, baby?
Oh, Mr. Roman, I've heard so much about your three-way protection.
I'm booked solid right now, doll. How about 8 tonight?
Always eager to service a customer, Willie actually got there at 7:59.
Selma! Boy, do you need a policy. Fast.
I do?
I knew it as soon as I saw those raw red knuckles. You got it.
What?
What 4 out of 3 people have, kiddo. Look, rhinestone heart. Calcification of the external costellonates. Your heart probably looks like that right now.
It's horrible.
Isn't it, though? No, keep it, sweetie. A souvenir.
For me?
Why not? We'll take the price out of your first premium.
Then I'm covered.
I'll backdate the policy. A deal?
Oh, yes.
I'll bring the policy in the morning.
Oh, Mr. Roman, how can I ever thank you?
Have a certified check ready.
Selma found her policy was good only while she was riding in a space capsule between the hours of 8 and 10 p.m.
Darn fine print.
From that day, there was no stopping Willie Roman.
Fire insurance on my saloon? Don't be a fool, Roman.
I'd think twice, Manny. It's awful easy to have an accident.
Ooh, boy. Yeah. Maybe you're right, Willie.
You bet I'm right.
Of course, word of Willie's success reached the head office and the chief actuary, Lucullus Blanc.
4 million in commissions, 80 million in claims against the company, and 37 lost lawsuits.
Yes, the head office had plans for Willie Roman. Big plans. But Willie had plans of his own. One night at the local Playboy Club, he even bet he could sell a policy on the dance floor to the famous Spanish dancer, Lolita O'Brien.
Come on, baby, they're playing the policy polka. If you're a dancer and you got the beat, you ought to take insurance on your feet. Flamenco dancing gives you muscle strain, and tango dancing gives your heels a pain. But I've got a policy you should know for waltz and rumba and the G.O. Each corn and callus that the doctor clears means $12 a week for the next 10 years. Cha-cha-cha! Hooray! Hooray!
Alas for Lolita, right after she paid the premium, she had to give up Spanish dancing. She was allergic to roses. Now Willie's star was in the ascendant. Bonuses and commissions rolled in. He was the hit of every sales boosters convention.
Yay! Here, have a mint. Yay!
Much as the company itself. At the head office, Lucullus Blanc was wondering about Willie's place in the organization. Like every good superior, he had several ideas of how the energetic young salesman might fit into various corporate niches. But finally, Blanc decided to take the problem direct to the company president, Ernest Heminghaw, the eccentric millionaire sportsman.
Now, what's all the hassle, Blanc?
Just this. If Roman sells one more big policy and there's a claim on it, the company's bankrupt. See?
Ooh.
Fearful of Willie's prowess, Heminghaw invited the young go-getter and his secretary to his luxurious dude ranch in the Catskills, merely in order to fire him. But he had reckoned without our hero's persuasive ability. For the next morning, dressed casually in tennis togs, Willie braced Heminghaw as he was about to go yak hunting.
Hey, boss, you ever figure the odds on somebody potting you for a grizzly?
What a knife.
Nonsense, Roman. That's why I carry this striped blazer.
If anything happened, just wanted to make sure you were covered.
Nice thought, Roman.
Sure enough, during lunch, Willie sold Heminghaw an $8 billion policy with his own company.
Let's see now. I collect if I'm hitting the right kidney with number 3 buckshot while watching a balloon race, right?
Right. But his biggest policy was to prove Willie's undoing. For the very next day, Hemminghaw was watching a balloon race, the only match played in that area for 86 years.
Ole! 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 Well fanned, missy. Ole! Ole!
Hey, isn't a guy in the wrong seat? You're right. Embarrassed, Hemminghaw tried to change seats. It was too late.
That tingles. Still, it's nice to know I'm covered.
Alas, that was the end of the company and of Willie's career. He went downhill fast. Frantically, he searched through the want ads, but nobody was advertising for vice presidents. Then at the next sales boosters meeting, an angry mob of underwriters ejected him bodily. Ivy League suit and all. Broken-hearted, Willie Roman was carried into his Skid Row apartment to breathe his last.
Don't feel too bad, Mr. Roman.
Feel bad, heck, I'm dying.
At least you leave Mildred well provided for.
What do you mean?
Your insurance.
Insurance? Who's insured?
As you watch our next flicker, A Tale of Horror, try, if you will, to conjure up a mental picture of the kind of people who prepare fractured flickers for you. Our producer, for instance. Is he really the Shreveport Strangler? If so, which of his vices should he give up? Strangling or living in Shreveport? Would society be better off if he just stuck to strangling? Try, as you watch, to call up an image of the others involved. The writers, the editors, the little people. None of them over 4 feet tall. Concentrate now, and when you've got it, the vision of all these rascals, you'll have the only picture more terrifying than the one you're about to see.
We proudly present a salute to the American worker, and to American industry, and to American bricks, and American hacksaws, and American sandpaper, and particularly that indefinable something called American ingenuity that somehow enables the American worker to keep from doing himself in. Here in this vast and complex industrial empire, you'll find dedicated men and women working together, building together in a common effort, where every man is encouraged to kick in ideas of his own. But all is not levity. High aloft the massive girders of steel, the barrow worker knows the foreman's word is law, because a foreman is never a wrong man. Down he shouts, down it comes. But all jackhammering and no play makes for walkouts on contract day. So American industry has learned that by giving its workers frequent breaks for relaxation, it enables the men to become better acquainted and to forget the cares of the world. But once again in America, individual freedom proclaims that if any man decides to drop out of the game, he may do so at any time. And of paramount importance, the workers know that all labor disputes will be speedily and compassionately negotiated. Yes, working together, playing together, slugging it out to build a better world for tomorrow. And as that famous American industrialist Henry J. Schmeiser once wrote, give a man a hard day's work, a half day's pay, and a warm bath in a box full of wet cement. America, we salute you.
As you know, most of the material on fractured flickers comes from films which were originally made without dialogue or sound effects. As a result, we've developed a great interest in the art of pantomime, the ability to tell a story or convey an idea without the use of words. With us in our studio this evening is a lady who, in her illustrious stage career, has been able to capture and hold the rapt and undivided attention of audiences all over the world without speaking a single word. Ladies and gentlemen, the eminent authoress and entertainer, And the first lady to merit the term enthusiast instead of strip teaser, Miss Gypsy Rose Lee.
Oh, thank you, Hans. So, now I'm an expert on pantomime.
Well, it was as good a reason as any to have you on our show.
It's the first time in my entire life that I've ever been compared with Charles Chaplin.
Well, I was thinking more of Harry Langdon.
Oh.
Actually, your pantomime plots may have been simpler and more direct than theirs, but they were certainly just as appealing and effective.
Oh, I think my music was better, too.
No, quite possible. Gypsy, your career has been the result of a long, tough climb to stardom. Can you tell us what it was that kept you going through the bad days?
Well, darling, there were several things. My mother, for one. You know, Mother just wouldn't admit there were any bad days. And then, of course, there was always that need to keep eating. But more than that, I'd say it was the audiences themselves. It was always very nice to know that, regardless of what was happening, the audience was with me.
Miss Lee, in many cases, your audience was way ahead of you. But in recent years, you've turned from treading the boards, or should I say the runway, to quieter pursuits, writing and lecturing. As a matter of fact, you've written 2 runaway bestsellers. The first book was a whodunit, wasn't it?
The G-string murders.
Then, of course, there was your sensationally successful autobiography, Gypsy.
Yes.
But tell me, why did you decide to write books instead of performing?
Well, for one thing, Hans, there was less danger of catching cold. Then, most important, I think, was the work schedule. The work schedule is much easier writing. You might say I preferred the 1 a year to the 2 a day.
Though, as I remember, you did star in a one-woman show called A Curious Evening with Gypsy Rose Lee.
Oh, how nice of you to mention that, Hans.
Tell me this, what was it that was so curious about that evening?
Well, most people thought the most curious thing about the evening was the fact that the entire evening I was fully clothed.
That seems a shame somehow. Miss Lee, in tonight's role as an expert on pantomime, have you any sage advice to offer young aspirants in the theater?
Yes, I have, Hans. I think that actors should always avoid the obvious. They should always leave a little something unrevealed. They should stick to the tradition of always keeping just a little mystery about their work.
That's very wise. And tell me, do you think that we, on Fractured Flickers, live up to that tradition? Is there something mysterious about our program?
Oh, I'm afraid not, Hans. It's quite obvious, darling, that you are all completely out of your mind.
Thank you. That's the nicest thing any guest has ever said about it. And good night, Miss Gypsy Rose Lee.
And good night to you, Hans. And thank you for the opportunity of spending a very curious evening with Hans Conried.
I remain fully clothed, too. You know, one of television's most offensive methods of building audience interest is to designate some well-populated city to be honored for an evening, thus actually blackmailing its citizens into watching a particular program. Now, this practice does produce lots more viewers, but in itself is a cheap bit of theatrical skullduggery. Our honor city this evening is San Francisco.
50 years ago, they said this city couldn't rise up from the ashes. Yet tonight, we salute San Francisco. That wonderful, wonderful town. Yes, San Francisco, where today, after half a century, Fire Chief Orton Bluger can proudly say,
We'll have it out in no time.
San Francisco, city of hills, which are a delight to pedestrian and motorist alike. Where for year after year, the ever-present seagull has captured the hearts of the young. In its hundreds of coffee houses, the city plays host to some of the finest young talents of our time. Its famous restaurants cater to the dining whims of the chic and the famous, including the open-fire cooking of such hostelries as Ernie's and the Blue Fox, whose chefs are as renowned for their shish kebab as for their arson convictions. But most exclusive of all is the world-famed University Club. Sedate, conservative, and proud of its 96 years of decorum. It's tradition that not once has there been a lapse from scrupulously proper behavior on the part of any member.
I told you we should have blackballed that Harry Bridges.
Yes, in fabulous San Francisco, one can climb to the top of the mark for a look at the city. Or ride to the Fairmont Tower in its unique outside elevator. No matter how you arrive, once you have gained a window seat, you and your companion will gaze awestruck at what is San Francisco's unique claim to fame.
Fog? Nothing but fog.
Will you get that cable car off Fisherman's Wharf?
Yes, Mr. Average, typical San Franciscan. When you rise each morning refreshed and eager, you may be justly proud of your town. Proud as you look out over the skyline to that famous bridge, which is the very symbol of your city's dignity, strength, beauty, and stability. We salute you, San Francisco, city by the Golden Gate. That wonderful, wonderful town.
And now for another spine-tingling episode in our cliffhanging serial. Unfortunately, we don't know which episode it is, but no matter, they're all alike anyway. You might be interested to know that we accidentally ran our last episode backwards. None of you noticed a thing.
In our last episode, Tom, the fun-loving Clover boy, had just married his secretary. But at the wedding reception, his third wife had shown up and caused a scene.
Tom, I couldn't go through with a divorce.
Good heavens, Laura, what have you done to your hair?
Meanwhile, upstairs, Dick, the serious-minded Clover boy, was still trying to put up Venetian blinds in the bathroom.
Let's see. The wing nut slips through the tie knot and loop A folds under the hinge.
Meantime, one of the X-3.2, the experimental biplane designed by Harry Clover. Harry is the inventive Clover boy. How's it going up there, Raj?
Not so good, Harry. There's two other experimental planes up here, and one of them is, well, I think maybe he's from Lockheed.
Take her up to 2,000, Raj. For heaven's sake, Laura, must we dance? I told you it's all over between us.
Oh, no, she wouldn't have an ordinary shower curtain. It has to be Venetian blinds.
It may be a little tough to get her up to 2,000, Harry.
How's that, Raj?
Well, for one thing...
Say, that Lockheed sure is a competitive outfit. Take her up, Raj.
Harry, you gotta do something.
Raj, I'm calling the Better Business Bureau right now. Laura, not in front of the children.
Oh, a child at 3 can install these, huh? Phooey, I'll bet Houdini couldn't do it.
Say, Harry, did the mechanic work on my landing gear?
Yes, he did, Raj. Why'd you ask?
The plane feels a little bottom-heavy in the loops, is all.
Yes, this is Tom and Laura's little son. Go on, Tommy, show Granddad how you make a bee.
Granddad, it's madness.
No, a robot. Time to change his diapers, too. Anybody got a can opener?
Oh, the heck with it. She can run through the lawn sprinklers instead.
Harry, come in, Harry.
Now, don't you worry, Raj. I'll bring you in, fella. You're right on the glide path. That's it. Set her down gently. Okay, Raj, you made it. Well, don't miss chapter 207 when the family hears a joke told by Tom, the fun-loving Clover boy.
Hey, I'm Tom, the fun-loving Clover boy.
Yeah, I'm Irving.
Well, the big clock on the wall... The big clock that was on the wall says it's time to go now.
1, 2.
that brings us to the end of another episode of Fractured Flickers, the greatest waste of TV time since the Bullwinkle Show. Don't fail to miss next week's program when we'll present Cut It Short, Big Mouth, we're 30 seconds over.